Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Comic Boom Comic Source collaboration for 2026. Happy New Year to
Happy New Year.
everybody. Sorry this is coming out a little late. Rocky had a trial, and I had to take my daughter to the doctor, and yeah, life happens. So anyway, a little late, but that's fine. That means all you guys should have had a chance to read the books this week already. Obviously, the big book was the Absolute Batman Arc M special, and there was one particular cover, I think it was cover B, that had a character from the book on it. People were speculating who the character was, and we found out who it was. And I heard reports. I didn't look myself, but I heard reports of it selling on eBay for $30, like on Tuesday before it even came out. So my shop has taken to limiting Absolute Batman to one cover per person, and I'm not saying per purchase. Like you can't buy one copy of cover A one day and then go back the next day and buy another copy. I mean, I guess you could if you don't have an account there, but I have my pull box, whatever. So if you're in their system and they try to get you to, put yourself in their system, so you can go online and order books if you want. But yeah, it'll tell you if you've already purchased it, which is great because it saved me at times in the past where I would have bought a duplicate copy of something that I didn't want. So anyway, I did get that cover, and then later in the day, it was much later. It was like, so I go when my shop opens like 9:00 in the morning, and I was out there waiting for the doors to open. Actually, I got there a little early, but then later in the afternoon, like I said, I had to take my daughter to the doctor. It was like all the way across town, and so it was like 2:30, and I was over in Scottsdale, and her appointment was until 3:30, so we had a little time. And there's a shop over there. It's pretty decent. It's actually one of the better shops for back issues. But he doesn't order. It's a small shop, so he doesn't order a ton of new stock. But he's obviously like every other retailer. He's ordering a ton of Absolute stuff. And they had all the Absolute covers, all the open to order Absolute Batman Arkham covers,
That's awesome.
except the one with the new character on it. That
Right.
one, the space was there, but it was empty.
Right.
But again, it was later in the day, so I'm sure all the people that were speculating went in there, bought a copy. And I don't know if he limited it. It could have been one guy went in and bought it all. I don't know. But I just went ahead and grabbed another, I think cover C or something. So I was like, oh, as long as I'm here. And then I also went and got a couple of copies of, like I went on his new, or not the new release section, but the more recent book section. And he still had Green Lantern 1 on the rack for cover, Absolute Green Lantern 1 on the rack for cover price.
Oh, wow.
So I picked up a couple more of those. So yeah, that book is the hottest thing going, as Absolute Batman is the hottest thing going these days. So, but as far as the week overall, I enjoyed probably my top 3 titles quite a bit. And then after that, I felt like it was a pretty steep drop off and everything else was just sort of average. But yeah, it's still a great time. I've been reading more comics than ever. Like I told myself I was going to get caught up on a lot of things this year. And my goal was to read at least like 12 comics a day, every day.
Wow.
And I was doing really good when the year started out. And then I got busy, like I had a little time off work at the beginning of the year with New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and what have you. But then, yeah, going back to work and doing other stuff. And so I've kind of fallen off, but I need to catch up. So we'll see how that goes. But like I've been going back and reading the Krakoan era of X-Men.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and
That's quite the feat. Good luck.
Yeah.
I've never done it. I only read the beginning and I got lost, so I stopped.
Yeah, House of X and Powers of 10. Those two series like hold up so much. But then I really do feel like there's quite a bit of a drop off as soon as you get into the regular series, Dawn of X. But they are enjoyable. It's just the ambition, that like the foundation from those two, and then a lot of it wasn't, especially the stuff in I guess it's House or Powers of 10. Because that's the one where it jumps into the future. Like a lot of that stuff was never paid off, from my understanding. So, which is too bad because it's really interesting. But anyway, and then the other big news, and I should have kept it out so I could show everybody, but Rocky's seen it. I finished my Ghost Rider run, the original Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider.
Yeah, that's right.
A Ghost Rider #1. We were talking about it on our Comic Talk episode that we did on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Your first appearance, right?
No, it's not his first appearance. His first appearance is in Marvel Spotlight 5, which I bought for $25 way back in like 1985, 86. So this is the first issue. So he was in his first appearance in Marvel Spotlight 5. He's in Marvel Spotlight 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Just 7 issues there, and then a few months later, his Ghost Rider series started. And yeah, that was the last book that I needed. Now it's complete. And the only thing that was crappy about it is I made the guy an offer. He was asking, I think, $385 for it. Yeah, that's it right there. There you go. Yeah. So he was asking. It's probably like a 6.5, 6.5, maybe a 7. It doesn't really look like there's too many pressable defects.
Yeah.
There's a couple like color breaking spine ticks, and the corners a little blunted or what have you. But it probably, if anything, you could clean the front and back cover up a little bit. But the colors are pretty. I mean, they pop off pretty well already. But anyway, yeah. So I offered him. He had it for $385, and I offered him $320, and I thought he was going to come back with a counter offer, and instead he just accepted it. He just accepted the offer, so the funds immediately came out of my PayPal. But then I got an email from him. Like when somebody gets something from me, when I sell something on eBay, like I print the shipping label like that same day. Like I usually have stuff boxed up ready to go if I've listed it. So I want to get it shipped out immediately so I don't forget. So I get an email, like it doesn't ship out for like 3 days. I'm waiting. I don't hear from him. And then finally I get an email from him, and it says that the eBay funds went into his old bank account instead of on to his MasterCard debit, which is what it's supposed to go to. But that's not my fault. He understands that, but he needs the money, and now he doesn't have access to it for a while, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but pay the whatever $10 to ship it to me. Like, what is going on? And like I waited, and it never got tracking. And so I sent him a couple messages. He didn't respond, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Then finally he says, yeah, it'll be there early next week. And I had wanted to. Rocky, it's 174766. Sorry, guys.
Thanks.
Technical difficulties. I wanted, like, I've been posting. If you guys follow the Comic Source on social media, I've been posting one cover every day, inspired by John Livesey, who does that on his Twitter feed. I've been posting it to all my social medias. What I wanted to do is I wanted to start with Marvel Spotlight 5 and do all the Marvel Spotlights, and then go to the Ghost Rider and post every day one cover from Ghost Rider. That's what I want to do. And I ordered this thing on like, I think the 20, I can't remember what day, but anyway, it should have been here well in advance. Mm-hmm. I think it was due to be delivered sometime between December 23rd and December 26th when I ordered it, if he would have shipped it out in a timely fashion. But yeah, I didn't get it until this last Monday. So, and the time, it took so long, in fact, that the time had elapsed because he wasn't responding. Then eventually he responded and said, yeah, you should have it early next week. And that was the week, after Christmas. And that week came and went, and I still didn't receive it. And not only did I not receive it, there was no tracking. There was no tracking in eBay, so it looked like he hadn't even shipped it. And he wasn't responding again, so I had the opportunity on just this last Saturday to ask for a refund. So I went ahead and submitted for a refund. I'm like, I guess this guy's not going to ship it to me. And the thing that really annoyed me was there was another one that looked like it was maybe in around the same shape, maybe even slightly better shape. But it wasn't by now. It was an auction, and it looked so nice. I thought, well, that's probably going to go for more than $320, and it sold on Saturday. And when I was watching it, it was at $80, and I was there with just a few minutes left to go, and I bid on it because, again, I didn't even know if I was going to get this one, so I bid on it, and I bid, I think 200, I think it was my high bid, and I bid 200 with 3 seconds to go, and it ended up going for like 221, and so it kind of bugged me. I'm like, if I would have known this one was on its way, I would have been fine with it. I wouldn't even have watched that auction because whatever. But then to see, like, I'm not going to get this book. I got to wait, 10 days to get my money back into PayPal. And I could have bought one that's maybe in better shape for $100 less. Like it just annoyed me. So anyway, I opened the return case on Saturday, and then, eBay's like, okay, we're researching it. And then I got home from work on Monday and it was here. So I went and closed the case, I was like, and it still never had tracking. So basically what that means is he didn't buy the shipping through eBay. He went to the post office and bought it, which I don't understand. I don't understand that. Like it's cheap. It's cheaper if you get it because eBay gets a deal because they sell so much postage. Yeah. It's cheaper to ship it through eBay. So dude, what are you doing? And even if you do go to the post office, just enter the tracking number so we then know that it's coming. And on his feedback, there was another guy that said the same thing that was like, yeah, it took a little while to get here. I don't know why it never had tracking. So anyway, that was my big news. It was a little bit late. I wanted to have it before the end of the year. I could have featured it on.
That's good. Good way to start the year off, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I'm like, all right, what am I working on next? Right. That's like my immediate next thing. So I think maybe I'll work on my Hulk run. Maybe not those first 6 are so expensive. But I'm thinking maybe I could do from 102, in Tales to Astonish, changed to Incredible Hulk. Because I have from like 234, like all the way up without missing an issue. So I just need to go back and backfill. But then there's another part of me that's like, maybe I want to do a DC series. Maybe I could work on my Action Comics run. Action Comics I have from like 200, oh no, not 200, 300, almost all the way up. I'm missing probably like 10 or 20 books. I could do that. So anyway, we'll see. I'll figure it out. Maybe Green Lantern. I don't know. Anyway.
Good.
So yeah, it's been a great year. A lot of plans for this year. We'll see how it goes. One of the things I will say before I give Rocky a chance to tell us how we felt about the week, though, is I'm going to be doing a lot less shows this year. Partly because for the same reason everybody else is doing less, just the economy is kind of funky and shows are they're not being well attended. There's less people going to shows, which in turn means less creators go to shows, which means less people. It's this horrible cycle, right? And I even heard from some creators off the record. I won't name any names of who I talked to, but I had some creators tell me personally, they're like, yeah, the number of shows I'm invited to this year has gone down. And even the shows I'm invited to, they're like, okay, we'll cover your airfare, but not your hotel, or we'll cover your hotel, but not your airfare, or, you're invited and we'll give you the table, but we're not going to cover hotel or airfare because we lost money on shows last year. And I was thinking like back to WonderCon, and I couldn't tell you the last time I missed a WonderCon. I think I've been to every WonderCon since 2011. Obviously I didn't have them in the pandemic years, but every other one I've been to. But last year it was such a ghost town. And it's like, if there's no publishers there, and there's not that many creators, there's not that many press opportunities, I gotta take time off work. I gotta travel. It's, there's an expense. And really all I end up doing is just like hanging out with 2 or 3 people and just drinking, which is not the best. And it's like, so why am I, I mean, it's still fun. Don't get me wrong, but I might. So I think I'm going to skip WonderCon this year, and I don't know. I mean, San Diego is something I probably always have to do, but if I do San Diego this year, I don't think I'm going to do New York, or maybe I'll do New York and not San Diego. So I haven't decided, but yeah, like that and Phoenix. So I'll probably only do like 3 shows this year. So it's going to be crazy unless something changes. But it doesn't seem like it. So anyway, that'll give me time to concentrate on some other things and hopefully get back on the indie spotlights and stuff like that. So anyway, how did you feel about the DC week overall, Rocky?
I actually liked it a little bit more than you did. There was the top 8 titles for me I really enjoyed. I had those, so I really enjoyed this week overall for me, because I mean there was 13 titles. I suppose 11 if we eliminate Teen Titans Go and the Superman v Amazing Spider-Man sort of reprint there from the early 70s. But I thought it was pretty good. Also, a quick aside, I frankly intend the year of 2025. I spent money-wise, I spent less on comics than I ever have in my collecting life. Who am I kidding? That's not true. In my adult life,
because they cost more now, right?
That's right. And I collected less, and but I collected less not just because of the cost. It's also because I was more picky. But also, frankly, and this is ironic, I think, But it's because of DC's absolute line. It absolutely had an impact, and I'm quite convinced that 2026 I'm going to be buying more DC than ever before. I love the absolute line. I'm going to continue with that, and I'm looking forward to DC Vertigo. Not so much the DC Next Level, although I'm open to be surprised by those titles, Zatanna and Lobo in particular. Perhaps even Batwoman because I'm a Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott fan. But I'm really looking forward to what DC Vertigo has in store for us this year. So DC's firing on all cylinders, and I frankly, it's a good jumping off point for me. The only thing in Marvel I'm collecting is the Ultimate titles, and that's ending. And who knows what Marvel's going to do, because you hear all sorts of gossip and rumor. But who knows? It might be Marvel's year, right? They've DC really embarrassed them last year, I think, in terms of quality wise, not necessarily in sales, because they Marvel tends to overprint too many titles. But in any event, it's going to be an exciting year in 2026, I think, and yeah, a little volatile, a little bit of fun, and I hope. I might even hit a few more just when people are starting to go to comic conventions less, I might be apt to budget and go to some more. We shall see.
You know what's interesting about that is it might be a time where comic conventions kind of revert back a little bit more to, because let's be honest, like especially in San Diego and New York and the smaller shows too, they're pop culture conventions now. They're not really comic book conventions, and maybe with fewer people going, it will revert back a little bit, but you also may be able to get better deals. But that's the thing. Like even at WonderCon, there was fewer dealers there. But again, if there's less foot traffic and there's more of a chance that a dealer hasn't made enough to pay for their table for the weekend, and then on Sunday they're just like, man, I don't want to pack this stuff up. You can get better deals, that sort of thing. So pretty interesting. But yeah, you mentioned DC kicking Marvel's ass this last year, and it's 100% true. Like all the best of lists have all come out and everything, and even the comic book person of the year as named by The Beat, which is a very well respected website. It was Marie Javins. Honorable mention to Scott Snyder. She's the one shepherding a lot of the initiatives over there at DC with Scott and Joshua Williamson's input. So I thought it was well deserved. If you listen everybody to our comic top episode from Christmas Eve and Christmas that we referenced earlier, I talked about what I thought for Marvel. I don't know. I mean, comic books is no different than any other entertainment industry, whether it be film or TV. It's a copycat industry, right? Like how many times in Hollywood do you see like one asteroid collision disaster movie comes out, like Armageddon, and then you have Deep Impact, or one volcano one of them was like a volcano in downtown LA, and then the other was like Dante's Peak. Like it just, they're doing that, let's copy, or Big Western or whatever it might be. So I fully expect Bendis is coming back. He's going to do an Ultimate line, and they're going to try to emulate what DC's doing. I mean, if you want to make money and you see these numbers that the Absolute line's doing, like why wouldn't you do that if you have a shared superhero universe? So that's completely what I expect. But unless they up their page rates and start getting some better talent, they're not going to, the quality is not going to be there. I am going to be picking up Joshua Williamson's Iron Man run. I'm reading PKJ's Hulk, and I'm reading Zdarsky's Captain America.
Yeah.
And then I don't even get all the Ultimate line. I get Ultimates. I'm getting Ultimate Endgame, but I'm getting Ultimates, and I'm getting Ultimate Spider-Man, and I got Ultimate Wolverine. But I'm just reading Ultimate Black Panther digitally. I tried to read Ultimate X-Men multiple times. I couldn't get past the first issue. I just don't. It is, inscrutable to me. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for comics for sure. So anyway, everybody's like, God, would you talk about the books already? So let's go ahead and dive in. First book we're going to talk about is JSA 15. This is from writer Jeff Lemire, art by Gavin Guidry, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Steve Wands. This did not make my top 5, but actually, I take that back. This did make my top 5. Yeah, look at that. I didn't even realize.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was better than a lot of the, basically the first 12 issues, where we thought, both you and I thought that it kind of dragged a little bit. And we have mentioned in the past about thinking that this year one storyline that's going on here, this is the third chapter of it, should have been what started it. And I had said after we read the first issue, because I think that was when you said we read the first issue of year one and said, hey, this should have been the first issue. And my comment on that was, well, I can see why they didn't do it that way, because they've done kind of the origin of the JSA so many times, and it really has felt just derivative when it's been done before. But what I really like is the way Jeff Lemire is having the characters interact with each other. I mean, they don't just come together and just gel right away and become a super team like the Golden Age, when these characters were very one-dimensional, right? And these are characters that have their own kind of personality quirks and what have you, and so I'm enjoying the process of seeing them become a team. So I thought this was the best issue of this arc so far, which means it's probably the best issue of the run so far. And there wasn't even a ton of action, but I really like the different voices. Like I mentioned, the character interaction that Jeff Lemire gives between these different characters as they're teaming up and kind of learning about each other, both in their heroic personas and their personalities. I like the way they talk to each other. Like I love the interactions between the Al Pratt Atom and Hippolyta Wonder Woman.
Yeah. That was the best part of the comic, I believe, in my opinion, was that interaction. And then with the interaction between Hippolyta and Catwoman.
Hippolyta and Catwoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hourman and was it Sandman was really good as well.
Yeah.
And you could see Al is kind of, he's looking, Al Pratt known for being kind of small in stature, but mighty Atom. And, he's admiring not just the abilities of Hippolyta to fight and whatever, but also, checking out her looks as well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think of you, how you love, you're a little shorter in stature, but mighty.
So go Al Pratt.
Yeah.
If he can, I don't know. Is maybe Jeff Lemire setting up an Al Pratt Hippolyta fling? I'll be all for that.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I got a little. I'm here for that.
And I stand corrected. I think that's Cheetah. That's not Catwoman. That's obviously that's Cheetah. That's right.
So
Golden Age Cheetah.
Golden Age Cheetah. Yeah. I thought the main cover was good. The Leslie Lee variant, I didn't really care for, but yeah. Anyway, where'd you have this? Anything to add?
I actually just, although I like the Hippolyta Al Pratt interaction, I just still find this story I just find it boring. I put this in at number 10. Literally, I couldn't put it higher than that. And that was, in my view, since I'm discounting two of the titles this week in my list, that's second last this week for me. It's okay. And again, it's a wonderful problem that DC's having. Jeff Lemire, I agree with you, the character work, it's okay. But I just feel, I've read so much JSA. I'm a huge All-Star Squadron fan. I just feel like I've read the story before. That's no disrespect. I mean, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And Gavin Guidry's art is very clean and crisp. I love Gavin Guidry generally. His art's pretty good. But you know what? I can't, as I'm looking through this and I look at the paneling and everything else, I'm so used to Hayden Sherman's creativity on Absolute Wonder Woman. I look at this and all straight boxes. This is very derivative. This feels like an older kind of comic, but we were talking earlier before. The way I would put it is, this is a good comic, but there are too many great comics out there, and this is just a good one. And good is no longer good enough when given what I've read and what I know is out there in my book, in my echelon of the books that we read. Granted, you and I read a hell of a lot of comic books. You more than I do, certainly. But it's okay. But I don't think it's Jeff Lemire's best. But it's no question for new readers. If you want to get in on a ground floor of the JSA, this would definitely be the title to get, because the storytelling is decent.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say this. And you mentioned it. You said, I've read a hell of a lot of JSA. I have a complete run of All-Star Squadron, but I didn't collect Jeff. I have a bunch of issues of it now, just from buying those awesome Alex Ross covers from Jeff John, coming across a number one for, a buck or two, and I pick it up. But I've still never read it. I've never read Jeff Johns' JSA. And so I think that's the difference. I haven't read a ton. I've read All-Star Squadron, and I do like these characters. But I was always more of a Justice League guy, so I haven't read a ton of JSA. I have almost a full run. I think I'm only missing a couple issues of Infinity Incorporated, and I've read that, and I really enjoyed that as well. But anyway, I think that might be the difference of why I'm enjoying this a little bit more than you are. So, anyway, up next, a book that's in both of our top 5. It's actually in my top 3. It's Absolute Green Lantern number 10 from writer Al Ewing. Sid Kotian is on the art. Pressy handles the colors, and Lucas Catoni on letters. And, like I mentioned, picking up those couple issues of Absolute Green Lantern, book's been taken off. Absolute Batman is rising tide floats all ships. It's making people pay attention to other, people that have missed out, want a first printing. Oh, I missed out on the first printing of Absolute Batman. I got a 3rd printing or a 7th printing or a 10th printing or whatever. They're on their 10th printing. It's insane. But they're like, well, let me go, if I can still pick up a Green Lantern number 1 for $20, maybe that's going to take off. Maybe that's the next one. So I think that's what's happening. But anyway, give us your thoughts on this particular issue.
Well, it made my top 3 as well. This is fantastic. This is Absolute Green Lantern's been getting better and better. And yes, I do have a Green Lantern review coming out of the overall Absolute Green Lantern spectrum, but it's a long story. I won't bore people with the details, but it's coming. And editing issues. And in any event, this keeps getting better and better. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm enjoying the Absolute universe, and I like the world building that Al Ewing's engaging in. I'm accustomed to his pacing now, and when I'm frustrated with it, it's the good type of frustration. It's like, damn, I want to know more, and it pulls me back as opposed to pushes me away. Some people might feel differently, but I love this. We learn more about this Goldface in this issue. What's so great about this issue is we learn more about Hector Hammond. He's experimenting with the chaotic black, with the liquid goo that formed Hal Jordan's hand, and there's a Persh soldier that he sort of pours this goo all over the soldier to see what the effects are, and he's just absolutely heartless. Meanwhile, Goldface, his last issue, confronted Jo Mullein in her former girlfriend Cameron Chase's apartment, and he shot her with a gold bullet, so she's bleeding out, and he's and she, you really see. You really get a sense of the dire of how much danger Jo was in, and how she actually makes Goldface bleed. For some reason, he seems to be terrified of the sight of his own blood. Not really sure why. And she manages to escape, lock herself in the kitchen, and upon discovering that the gold, she manages to actually get a pair of pliers. You can really see that, God, she's like a Marine, she pulls a Rambo. She uses a pair of pliers from the kitchen to pull the bullet out of herself, the 2 golden bullets out of herself, healing just in time before Goldface breaks into the kitchen. She saves herself, hurls the pliers right at Goldface, getting him through the eye. Ostensibly, we believe it looks like he's killing him, and right before Cameron Chase arrives and the other 2 agents, and you learn it's very clear that there's all this stuff is coming together, and Hector Hammond, of course, is the one who's sort of behind the scenes. He's Cameron Chase being aware that Hector Hammond might be behind things. They're starting to piece things together, and there's some concern because you got to wonder where all these loyalties lie here, because Jo and Cameron Chase they were married, and then you have Simon Baez was at their wedding, but he's affiliated with, I believe, Hector Hammond as well, and yet so the allegiances here. I think the relationships they're a little bit, they still need to be established, and yet they're friends and they all know each other, but it seems to work. And Al Ewing, at first I thought, I had some questions early on, I'll admit that. Does Al Ewing have a handle on this? I believe he does, and it's really starting to come together. but it's like a slow moving Netflix series that's 14, 15 episodes long. It takes a while to get going, and some people may not have the patience for it. I do. I really enjoyed this issue. I thought the character work was fantastic, and what it all has set up. I'm loving Hector Hammond more and more and more. He's quickly. I said before, in the middle of last year, he was turning into my favorite absolute villain. And he's still up there. Of course, we got Absolute Lex Luthor to find out more about, and the Joker's pretty good over in Absolute Batman, and there's Ra's al Ghul, and oh my God, and then there's Veronica Cale, who's really ramping things up, and by Kelly Thompson in Absolute Wonder Woman. But no, I'm really enjoying this, and I want to emphasize again how much I love that each of these Absolute titles is its own, seems to be telling its own story. It's not wrapped up in the stories of the other Absolute characters. I like that they're just nurturing their own stories, and it's working, and I just love it. And yeah, high praise for this issue, and I very much enjoy it. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I mean, Green Lantern is one of my favorite DC characters. He's in my top 5. So, this is intriguing. It's definitely a different take. Having Joe Mullen as the lead wouldn't necessarily be my first choice. We haven't even seen Hal Jordan in a while. I'm kind of curious what's going on with him. It is interesting. We've talked about this in the past in reference to this book about just how many characters, mainstream universe characters that Al Ewing is putting in here, because he's throwing the names out there. And one of them is, what's his last name? Todd.
Whoever
Obsidian.
Obsidian,
Todd
yeah.
Rice.
Todd Rice. Todd Rice, yeah.
And he was owner of the diner in Evergreen, the town where the lantern crashed, whatever. And he's the one that's being experimented on. So we thought he was dead. Obviously he's not. He's been captured by Hector Hammond, and they're using this alien goo, as Rocky called it, to experiment on him, and it clearly affects him, much like it's affected Hal Jordan. But we don't know if it's infected Todd in the same way. But it's just interesting. It's almost like this title's in contrast to the way Jason Aaron is approaching it, because Jason has said he wants to take his time and not shove everything in there too fast. And really, when you look at Superman, typical Superman stuff that we've seen, like we haven't seen any other than Brainiac. We haven't seen any traditional Superman villains. Yes, we've seen Lex Luthor, but not in the pages of Superman. We've seen Ra's al Ghul, traditionally a Batman villain. We've seen Lois Lane. We've seen Jimmy Olsen. I mentioned Brainiac, Ma and Pa Kent, Alana. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting when you compare that to Green Lantern, where we have Cameron Chase, we have Joe, we have John Stewart, we have Guy Gardner, we saw Todd Rice, Obsidian, Hector Hammond, who you mentioned him as a villain. Very different take, right? I mean, he's the one with the giant head, almost MODOK like in the main universe. Here it's almost like he's a Lex Luthor type in here. He's seems to be like a very well-to-do businessman, sort of mad scientist a little bit. So it reminds me a lot of Luthor, because we haven't frankly gotten a handle on Luthor where he's shown up. He's only done a couple cameos. So it's interesting that Al Ewing is like foot on the gas. You guys don't want to introduce characters. I'm going to introduce everybody. But kind of on that note, the one nitpick I have about this and this issue, so we're told that a Nemesis was killed, or Goldface was killed. There have been a couple of different characters called Nemesis in the pages of DC Comics in the main universe. He's been a hero, and here he's a villain who can change. Is a master of disguise. That's Nemesis. Like Nemesis he's sort of like the Human Target in a lot of ways, but a little more international espionage type thing, where that he's always wearing disguises, goes undercover. Not quite in the way the Human Target goes undercover, pretending to be somebody who has had a contract put out on their life. Nemesis is going undercover and disguising himself as other people, not necessarily people that exist, but just, disguising himself to sneak in places or what have you. But yet he's also Goldface. One of the disguises, one of his alter egos is Goldface. But the name they gave him, Keith Kenyon, is not the name of Goldface. At least I don't think it is. And it's not the name of either one of the previous DC Nemesis characters. So that's pretty interesting. Actually, now that I look it up, Keith Kenyon is the name of Goldface. I thought maybe it started to sound familiar. So anyway, but my point being, so if that's the case, if this is, the absolute version of Goldface, and I'm going to say it must be because the name is the same, but you've also now used the character of Nemesis. So, like, maybe slow your roll a little bit, Al Ewing, and stop burning through character. What if somebody else wants to use Nemesis down the road? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's tens of thousands of DC characters, right? So, or maybe thousands and thousands, maybe not tens of thousands, but thousands and thousands. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it is interesting. It just, every time I pick it up, it seems like there's another new character, or another old character being brought into an absolute version. I mean, obviously we have Simon Baz. He's not a Green Lantern to this point. Covers his face. He's an agent of Checkmate as well. So yeah, interesting.
And I just want to add too that one of the things that I like about it is Jo is not afraid to kill, and the fact that she's a little, absolute Batman, absolute Superman, absolute Wonder Woman, presumably they seem to have, they're sort of all, it's implied certainly in Superman that, they're not killers. Even in the absolute universe, they're going to try to avoid killing. This Jo seems a little bit more harder edge, and I like that. And I think the jury's still out on Absolute Manhunter and Martian Manhunter, and I have a feeling Absolute Green Arrow is going to be a killer too. And I kind of like that, i.e. not so much not afraid to use lethal force. I like that. I like that, let's mix it up. Let's mix up the morality a little bit with all the potential heroes. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that she had a choice. It was like, kill or be killed. So, with him being dressed in yellow and her having the vulnerability to that color, I didn't blame her at all for what happened. So.
Oh, no.
Anyway, absolute Green Lantern, definitely worth a pickup this week. All right, up next we have Batman, Green Arrow, The Question, Arcadia. Second issue, there's no credits inside for some reason, but it's Gabriel Hardman with Romulo Fajardo Jr. So Gabe is writing and drawing it. Romulo Fajardo Jr. handling the colors. I don't know who's doing the letters. It's not listed for me. I really enjoyed the first issue. This one less so. I get that this is Black Label, but the characterization, especially for Batman, is a little too far afield for me. And it's just it's a very wordy comic. I enjoy the art, kind of a more grounded, realistic style, which is fine. But it loses some dynamism. Loses some of that. Hey, look, let me see some action. And like I said, there's a ton of word balloons. This book is so dialogue heavy. But I did enjoy it, but it not enough for it to make my top 5. Let's see, I ranked it at number 7. So, anything to add?
Not much. I ranked it at number 9 for me. I think it was all right. I just found the story to be, just didn't really grab me, the story. I thought the plotting, how they all came together here, it was okay. It just seemed a little bit, I don't know, the Batman was sort of working with the very force that Green Arrow was trying to take down, and then Batman seems a little conflicted, and then they finally got their act together near the end. I guess I could understand why. I guess it just never really gelled for me. But I got to tell you, the art's fantastic. I mean, Gabriel Hardman, his art's he's the artist, isn't he?
Yep.
Is that it? Yeah, because it reminds me, because he did that Earth 2 Green Lantern. Him and his I think it's him and his wife both did it, and I love that. It's definitely the dialogue and the reminiscent. those were wordy too, but I just like the plotting better. This one here just didn't really grab me. Although I will say he definitely nails Green Arrow in terms of his sort of like liberal do-good attitude. And I like that Batman comes off as a little bit more pragmatic. And I hesitate to use the word conservative because you know what I mean in terms of like the Green Arrow's traditionally very liberal, and Batman, I think he's the idea that he's a little bit more maybe neutral or right in the center, on that overturned window. That really plays out well here. So I do think that Hardman's got a handle on these characters. How he ends up interpreting what Batman would do, I guess you can agree or disagree with it, but didn't quite grab me as much as I would have liked. And shout out to Romeo Fajuto Jr., who's I fell in love with his coloring talents back when he started on DC's mainstream Wonder Woman over I think it was 10 years ago. So he's a good colorist. That's when I first became familiar with him anyway.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. Started
Yeah.
at Top Cow, I think. Definitely over to Image. So, all right. Let's move on. Up next, we have Poison Ivy number 40. I say this every time. I can't believe we have 40 issues of Poison Ivy. This book shows no signs of slowing down. I can't believe it's going to get to 50 when there's never been a Hawkman series that's gotten to 50. Anyway, written by G. Willow Wilson. Art by David Jean-Felice. Colors by Arif Prianto. And letters by Hassan Otsman Elhau. So this came in at number 6 for me. It just missed out on my top 5. Feels like a bit of a setup issue. I did really enjoy the interaction, the scenes between Poison Ivy and
Vandal Savage?
Vandal Savage, yeah. I kept wanting to say Ra's al Ghul. Vandal Savage, yeah. She basically goes and confronts him. And, I agreed with a lot of what she said. And it's amazing how, people complain about books being political or whatever. Comics have always been political. Or, go right back to the very first ones with Superman and he's punching Nazis, what have you. But this one, it's so on the nose, but without, I feel like, bashing your head, bashing you over the head with it. It's done subtly and it's done very, very well by G. Willow Wilson. So, yeah. It just missed out my top 5. Comes in at number 6 for me. So, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I came in at it's in my top 5. And I really enjoyed this. And it's, now, I'm not going to say, I won't say the spoilers, even though if you read the solicitations for the next 3 months of Poison Ivy is poised to make a huge move. There's a huge change in Poison Ivy's status quo in terms of what she becomes over the next 3 months. I won't spoil it, but it is very clearly being set up in this issue. First thing I want to do is I want to shout out this variant cover that I'm showing here, done by Danny, and it's Poison Ivy snowboarding, holding a snowboard. It has nothing to do with the interior of the comic. Normally I complain about variant covers having nothing to do with the content, but that's just the way things are. But Danny, I'm not always a huge fan of Danny's art stylistically, but I really love this one because I'm a snowboarder and I just love it. And Danny, Danny's going to be the artist on Batwoman with Greg Rucka coming out with DC Next Level. And so anyways, that's shout out to that cover. Now with respect to the story itself, Poison Ivy, what I like about this is that, first of all, the cover A is fantastic. She's making her way to Gotham City because she wants to make peace with Vandal Savage. She doesn't want the cops to be after her because she's got her Green Knights, right? But she's not so much an eco-terrorist anymore. But yet she's kind of active. And of course, she had that big controversy with the Marsh that came up, and then Gotham, the PD tried to take her down. And then so she wants to make peace with Gotham. She doesn't, and so she's going to go to Vandal Savage, who is the police commissioner. And basically Vandal Savage, of course, they both have their egos. Vandal Savage, though, basically tells her, look, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Vandal Savage really is acting like a king. And even the mayor's advisor who's trying to, the mayor's advisors that are trying to keep Vandal Savage under control. and Vandal Savage will have none of it. He acts like a king, and he's basically telling Poison Ivy, "Look, you're gonna go with this. My assistant here, Marie Henley, and we want you to do some environmental things for us in the city, et cetera, et cetera." And Poison Ivy does that. She figures, okay, well, sometimes you have to maybe have some unfavorable alliances in order to keep a peace, and so she's willing to do that. After all, Poison Ivy is an arbiter between the green and the gray, so she's accustomed to maneuvering and negotiating maybe complex alliances. You could argue, but it ends up that all Vandal Savage wants Poison Ivy to do is to manipulate and pull water sources away from vital areas of the city, which is going to deprive vital areas of many Gothamites of water, and to use the water to basically power their databases in order to, I guess you could maybe liken it to the current situation in parts of the U.S. and other parts of the world where with utilities, databases using up a lot of energy. In this case, in Gotham, they need a lot of water to power the creation of the databases that all for Vandal Savage's ends. As it turns out, this Marie Henley has the audacity to really, really piss Poison Ivy off. And Poison Ivy, in a fit of anger, Mary basically taunts her and then makes the mistake of threatening Harley Quinn. And Poison Ivy kills her. And this is why I love this. You and I we've talked on and off and on and on about this, about Poison Ivy. We thought she was evil. We thought she was bad. But she's this complex character. And God bless J. Willow Wilson. Pamela Isley, yeah, just when we think maybe she's kind of maybe softened a bit. No, she's right back. You piss her off, she's going to kill you. And she kills this. She not only kills Vandal Savage's advisor, but it looks like another kid, a kid with an iPhone, has taped what happened on his iPhone. And so is a pretty good chance. And that's how it ends, by the way. We see this kid with his iPhone, basically videotaping Poison Ivy's murder of this woman who, frankly, okay, she didn't deserve to die, probably, but she deserved probably a good bitch slap. She got more than a bitch slap. As in any event, there's going to be a consequence to this, because I'm sure that this is going to be posted online. What's the consequence of Poison Ivy killing this advisor of Vandal Savage, the corrupt commissioner of Gotham City? Trust me, we're going to all want to stay and find out, especially if you no spoilers, if you just read ahead just from the solicitations, because I was wondering how those solicitations could possibly become a reality. Now I've got my head canon going on and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'm starting to put the pieces together here. But I love it for that reason. J. Willow Wilson continues to think outside the box, continues to push this character in different directions, and I'm just loving it. Just doing a fantastic job, and easily made my top 5 this week.
You're showing your age, man. You said the kid was videotaping. There's no tape in that film. Like when people say, yeah, I'm filming it. There's no film in your camera either.
You're right.
You're recording.
I'm an old man yelling at clouds. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, really good. Worth your time for sure. All right. Up next, we have Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League, issue number 6. From writer Greg Rucka, Nicholas Scott on art, Annette Kwok on colors, Troy Petrie on letters. This is in both our top 5. I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this, Rocky. So I'll let you go first. Give us your thoughts. Well,
first of all, this is, as we've said before, in reviewing all the previous issues, this is the super villain version of Ocean's 11. That's really what this is. And it's a lot of fun. And the only difference is you got a different group of people and younger kids involved as well. But what I love the ending. And this issue in many ways, on the surface, this issue is predictable. Arguably predictable. But because the Justice League has followed. Remember that Clarion the Witch Boy has supposedly betrayed the team to Black Adam, and Black Adam, they want to acquire this. I think, what is it? The the power bank, which contains all the powers of these superheroes. And as it turns out, the Justice League manages to trace where Cheetah and Cheshire and the gang, they teleported off the Justice League satellite and to where they got misdirected to where Black Adam was. The Justice League traces them. And ultimately, there's a battle between the Justice League and Black Adam and his group and what have you. But it ends up, it's all a distraction. This was all planned. It was all planned, masterminded by Cheetah and Cheshire. Cheetah and Cheshire never even told Liam or the other members of their team. In other words, they never told the kids what they were really up to. And so all of this was basically, in large ways, an act. And all because it was a massive distraction. What they really wanted to steal was other artifacts in the Justice League, which ultimately the question figures out, but too late. And there's many other cool artifacts, and there is one page which is really cool. And those of us who love comic books or read a lot of comic books, you can stare at it, and we can guess as to what all these artifacts were. But clearly, they're certainly more interesting than the power bank. And because, I mean, it looks like there's all kinds of things. If I didn't know better, I think I'd see something from Themyscira, maybe from Atlantis, even Magog's helmet. There seems to be a mother box there of some kind, and a treasure chest of things, and even Red Star's armor. And there's all kinds of things. Even looks like Lex Luthor tech and gauntlets of some kind, and amulets, and all these power things. So it's pretty cool. But what specifically did they really want to get? And as it turns out, and I absolutely love this, was that Cheetah wanted to acquire and steal something very specific, and that was she wanted to steal an idol, basically a fetish, which was a glorified plant that would allow Cheetah to contact and force the cat god Ishkataga that has cursed her with the cheetah, to force him to come out, to arise, and that forces a confrontation, and the cheetah literally, she manages to break her curse by killing the god Ishkataga, and she's now free from the curse. And so the question is, and so this is genuinely a new beginning for Cheetah. So as a Wonder Woman fan, who quite frankly, even Greg Rucka, in his writing he had Cheshire joke at the beginning of this series how every time Cheetah and Wonder Woman get together, they cry. I mean, every one of their meetings, they end up crying all the time. I mean, you don't believe, look at the last time, even the last time Tom King had Cheetah and Wonder Woman together, they fought for 3 days and they ended up holding each other and crying, because all of Wonder Woman's villains are broken, Well, now Cheetah's not broken anymore. She's got rid of her curse. So the question is she going to be a hero? Is she going to be a villain? Because if she's going to still be a villain, then I personally hope she stays a villain, because I know I want Wonder Woman to have a genuine villain. Enough with the broken villainesses and all that other nonsense. Make her genuinely hardcore evil, or at least very, very naughty and bad. And anyways, I love that, and I think the future for Barbara Minerva is awesome, because now she's no longer cursed, and that's what I love about this. So all along, even though this was called Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League, this was really about Cheetah's agenda. But we got the bonus plan. We got fantastic character work, fantastic art by Nicola Scott, really good storytelling by Greg Rucka, and so much potential, and we have all these stolen weapons from the Justice League that might pop up elsewhere in other DC comic stories, moving into DC Next Level. So I gotta say, this one really sort of crept under the radar for me, and I was surprised that I thought, wow, now I know why. Because I asked the question, I was surprised, why does this comic exist? I'm glad it did. I love Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott, but why? Seemed to be an odd choice of characters, but now we know. I think it's to elevate Cheetah, and man, it's managed to do that very effectively. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, this is issue 5 or issue 6 rather. I think I've had half the issues as my pick of the week, so it definitely wasn't under the radar for me. But I'm a big a Rucka fan, and I love Nicola's art. She's one of my favorite artists for sure. If she's on a book, I'm buying it. Period. Doesn't matter what the story is. Doesn't matter who the writer is. I'm buying it if Nick's drawing it. So I really enjoyed this. That being said, you mentioned it being a little predictable. I myself predicted it on this very show, right? I said I think Clarion was following orders when he's went and talked to Black Adam or what have you.
Yeah, you called it.
I didn't know exactly the reasoning behind it, but then when you hear it, it makes complete sense, right? Like you want to take that Ocean's 11 analogy that we've made, and we've been comparing it, and apply it to this sort of situation. It would be like if the two main characters, Daniel Ocean and Rusty, or George Clooney and Brad Pitt's characters, if they planned this heist and didn't tell anybody that they were going to go and rob the casino, just like they did in the movie, but then once they got out of the casino, once they snuck the money out, some other thieves would come and steal that money from them, and then that would be the person. Those would be the people that Andy Garcia's character would go after. When what they didn't know was that they actually stole a bunch of casino chips as well, because that's not traceable. That's and then they could go later and turn those chips in, and it would look legitimate, and they could end up with even more cash. Right? They also could steal some kind of information and blackmail Andy Garcia or something like that. So it's going after something that doesn't look like it has as much inherent value, but something that, because it doesn't seem like it has as much inherent value, it doesn't paint a target on your back. And so I really, really enjoyed that Rucka did that. Yes, I knew that Clarion was the double cross, but I didn't know the reasoning behind it, and the reasoning behind it makes it awesome. As far as stealing the fetish or the idol to summon the cat god, I appreciated that as well. You can tell. I mean, obviously, Cheetah wants to break the curse, so it's very important to her. But I love that it's nearly as important to Cheshire as well. Like what a friendship, what a dynamic that the two have. Yes, they stole a bunch of gold and weapons and what have you as well. So yeah, they're going to make their money. But you totally get the impression through Rucka's writing, it's subtly there, and certainly in the art, the body language, facial expressions that Nick gives us, that even if all they could have stolen was that idol, and they couldn't take any of the weapons or the gold or jewels or whatever, that Cheshire and Cheetah would have been fine with that. It was about getting that idol to break the curse and put Cheetah in a position she's never been before. So, I mean, I'm not as familiar because I haven't read as much Wonder Woman stuff. So maybe you can answer this. So she still has powers. Can she transform back and forth now, or she's just more of in that? Because she's in the human form,
yeah,
but she doesn't have the fur. She still has a few spots.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. And just as a potential criticism here, I'm not sure, like, if Cheetah would have asked Wonder Woman, can I borrow the fetish? I'm sure Wonder Woman would have given it to her, because Wonder Woman's always about helping, and Wonder Woman knows what it's like to deal with difficult gods and evil gods. So, and Wonder Woman has always promised to help Cheetah. If she could ever help Cheetah overcome the curse, she would. And so why wouldn't Wonder Woman have given her the fetish? Or why? So that's the question I have. Like, again, it's not really addressed.
They stole all the other, but they did steal all the other stuff as well.
No, that's true. So that might.
Okay, we need this idol. We probably could go ask for it, but why not try to steal it instead?
That's right. And in case Wonder Woman,
and maybe they had that as the backup plan, right? Like Cheshire and Cheetah are like, okay, if it goes sideways, we'll say, well, we weren't trying. We didn't really want to take the weapons and the treasure. We really just wanted the idol. Yeah. But we didn't know if you would let us have it or not, and so we had to recruit others to come and help us, and we had to promise them pay. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, we did a bad thing, but for a good reason. I could see it going that way as well. Also, Featherweight is revealed as a trans character here. That might bother some people. It might not bother some people, whatever. But it is revealed because we speculated: is this a new character? Has she shown up before? So,
it doesn't bother Clarion. We know that.
Yeah, exactly. Clarion's bi.
He still wants a piece.
Well, I think Clarion is bisexual as well, but
He might, yeah,
don't
non-binary,
quote me
isn't
on
he?
that,
Or
but
I'm not sure.
yeah, I think so. But definitely Featherweight is bisexual and trans.
Yeah.
A rare pink-haired character that seems to be interesting.
I like.
So,
yes.
yeah. So yeah.
Yes, I like the pink-haired character.
Yeah. So definitely potential there. Exciting potential for a new direction for Cheetah. You wonder if Cheetah's going to show up. We know Rucka's writing Batwoman. Is Cheetah going to show up there? We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I mean, this really fired on all cylinders. I really, really enjoyed it. Yes, was it a little bit predictable? Yeah, but I mean, it's a heist story, so
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you expect those kind of twists and turns, as it were. So anyway, definitely my top 3. I really, really loved it. All right, next book is not in either of our top 3. I don't really have much to say about it, although I did enjoy this 3rd issue more than the first 2. Joshua Williamson is the writer, Dan Mora on art, Triona Farrell on colors, Tom Napolitano on letters. It's DCKO Knightfight issue 3. Mostly what I enjoyed about this issue is just how it shows that Batman is not willing to play by the rules of the Apocalypse Heart. You know, we kind of knew that already with the whole idea of him trying to cheat with the mother box or whatever. But despite whatever sort of corner the Apocalypse Heart tries to paint him into, he finds a way out of it and finds a way to kind of stay true to himself and not take that darker turn like the Apocalypse Heart is trying to make him. So, it's okay. There's a poignant moment at the end. But again, this doesn't feel really necessary to the DCKO event, and various weeks we're not getting a lot of KO related content. So this has the KO trade dress, and you're like, oh, I should pick it up and read it. But I don't know. I almost feel like it's just going to confuse people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really that straightforward. So
yeah.
But I mean, Dan Mora art, enough said, right? I mean, Dan Mora art is fantastic.
It is.
So.
But
yeah, let me get my ranking real fast, and then I'll let you give a shot. It came in at number 9 for me.
Yeah. Well, for me, I put it in at number 7 for me. What's interesting here is it's almost frustrating to me that this seems to get some sort of press because first of all, none of this is actually real or happening, and the whole premise of this is that the Heart of Apocalypse is punishing Batman for trying to break the rules. Well, the Heart of Apocalypse, why haven't you been doing the same to Wonder Woman, who cheated, Jay Garrick, who wanted to play chess or checkers?
I was going to mention that, though. It does make there's I don't remember exactly what page or what part of the story, but there is an allusion to it where who's ever narrating whatever even says that the Heart of Apocalypse doesn't cheat. Like, it says something about the Joker winning and the Joker's cheating, but that's okay. So I did appreciate that. If there's anything about this series that is applicable, like canon-wise, to or adds context to the regular, DC, the main DC KO story, it is that it's sort of like the Dark Heart of Apocalypse. The way it creates and applies rules is kind of the same way that the GOP applies rules here in the U.S. They make these rules or whatever. They can break them. They only are applied to certain people at certain times. And they're allowed to break them whatever they want. So I did appreciate that because I know, especially for you, that you've been a little bit of a critic of the fact that the rules only seem to apply sometimes and not others or whatever. I guess the best way to describe the rules of the KO tournament are capricious.
Yeah, but even having said that, though. Even using, I grant you that. Let's assume that's the case, and that clearly appears to be the case. You're right on that, clearly, because it's all it's all over the place, and it seems to be a little bit frivolous, and the GOP, I mean, the Heart of Apocalypse can do whatever it wants, but it just seemed to me to be rather interesting that it's. The Heart of Apocalypse is creating all these characters, all the Bat family characters that Batman is interacting and fighting with. And what's weird is it gets angry at Batman because instead of Batman fighting, for example, Dick Grayson, or Tim or whatever, they reason with each other and they end up not fighting and they're going to work together. Well, this doesn't make any sense. If you're the Heart of Apocalypse and you've created the reality that Batman's in, just create a Dick Grayson that does fight him and doesn't want to reason with him. So even that doesn't make sense. So it's hard for me to get behind this. Because I've not really accepted the actions of the Heart of Apocalypse anyway. It just feels like it's, in any event, at the end here, the big thing that most people who have been enjoying this are going to really like is probably that it's revealed that Dick Grayson has a son named Alfred. Now, of course, this isn't actually Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson doesn't have a son named Alfred. This is all nonsense. This doesn't exist. But the fact that this has planted the seed, one has to speculate is this the first appearance of Dick Grayson's son Alfred? This is a key issue alert. Because guess what? Even though none of this has actually happened, none of this is real at all, could it somehow be made real at the end? At the end of DCKO, can Alfred be made to exist? The young boy Alfred, is he somehow going to pop into existence? You know what I mean? That's just something. It's so something that Williamson or Snyder might throw in, which, I mean, it drives me. That type of storytelling. It just drives me crazy because I don't want that. But I suspect that if this is that popular, I mean, that's probably why they wanted Dan Mora drawing this. But it's such a wonky, crazy, nonsensical way of getting there. But hey, so I guess the Heart of Apocalypse literally created Dick Grayson, created Alfred. And is that something that the Heart of Apocalypse would actually do? It just doesn't jive with me. It just doesn't jive with me. But anyways, it is what it is. It's well written enough if this was actually real and taken place, but it's not. So I don't understand. But people are having fun with it. And I guess, like you said, it does maybe just confirm what we already know, that there are no real rules in this DCKO fight. But it never made my top 5. I can't reward this type of superfluous storytelling.
Yeah, I love the way your mind works, though, because I mean, you're right. Like, is it derivative? Yes. Just another excuse for members of the Bat family to fight each other, just like the old school Marvel in the early days. Whenever they crossed over for the very first time, Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four had to fight. When Hulk and the Fantastic Four crossed over for the first time, Thing and Hulk had to fight.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man and Hulk crossed over, you know what I mean? Like, it was always, they got to fight first, and then they can figure out.
Or Superman or Amazing Spider-Man.
There we go. Exactly. Superman and Spider-Man cross over for the first time. They got to fight.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the whole idea of the premise for DCKO, that conversation we've all had in our comic shop with our fellow comic collecting brethren. Well, who do you think would win in a fight? So an excuse but again, that's what makes it feel derivative. This excuse for the members of the Bat family to fight. So, take that for what you will. But to your point about having this young Alfred show up, my mind just goes crazy, right? Like, yes, this is not real, but we've been told whoever becomes King Omega and wins the tournament, if they can defeat Darkseid, they'll be able to remake reality in whatever way they want. That was Batman's criticism of or Lex Luthor rather's criticism of Superman. He would remake it and put it exactly as it was, as opposed to creating a reality that had like world peace and no hunger, no famine, that sort of thing. But whoever wins could theoretically age up this Alfred, and maybe not as old as the original Alfred Pennyworth, but age him up to be the major domo for Batman, or maybe they don't age him up at all. And it's like, okay, it's DC going, okay, so we can't de-age John Kent, or we choose not to, because, again, this is a way out. If they chose to de-age John Kent, this is how they could do it.
Yeah.
The King Omega could reset reality with a young John Kent.
Yeah.
If Superman wins and he go, well,
and the young Alfred.
The one selfish thing I'll do is I will try to get back those years that I lost with John by making him young again. But if they don't want to do that, they think that they can't unring that bell. They could say, okay, sorry, we can't de-age John Kent, but we'll give you a young Alfred, and then that he can be a member of the Super Sons, along with Damian Wayne or whatever. I mean, who knows? Like you said. silly storytelling. Could they do it? Yes. Will they? Maybe it's more of a long shot. It's certainly nowhere near as a sure thing as we felt about the events of Cheshire and Cheetah robbed the Justice League, right? Like we predicted that one. This one's a little bit more, hey, we're just throwing a dart. And
Oh my God, yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, it'd be crazy though in a few months if it turns out. We'll be like, oh my God, we were right. So anyway, let's move on. Up next, this is going to be the title that we probably diverge on the most. I knew that going in.
Yeah.
Because again, like Absolute Batman, I enjoy it for what it is. But I think it's a little overrated in my mind. But written by Scott Snyder along with Frank Thierry, who I love. Scott, I love Frank. They're fantastic people. Joshua Hickson is the artist. Roman Stephens on colors. Clayton Cowell on letters. The art, Josh's art bothered me a little bit in places. It pulled me out of the story. Specifically, whenever he would draw the side of somebody's face and their ear was just a flat flap. I was like, what is going on? Why do their ears have no definition? And I've seen Josh's, like the first time I saw Joshua Hickson art is on a title that was written by Christopher Sabella from Image called Shanghai Red. And if you're not familiar with the term Shanghai, like that back in the day, like now it's a term for just somebody who's, somebody's been Shanghai. You say, put one over on them or, did something bad to them, whatever. But the original term Shanghai was, you would be in a small, this is like late 1800s. You'd be in a port town, somewhere that had docks and boats and what have you, ships. And you'd go into some tavern or bar or whatever. Somebody would get you so drunk that you'd pass out, and then you'd wake up midway through the next day, and you'd be shanghaied. And what that meant was you'd been basically kidnapped and made to work on a ship. The ship sailed. Like this is how some unscrupulous captains of ships would get enough crew to run their ship. And if you wanted to get back home, you had to work. If you wanted to get fed, you had to work, they would teach you whatever. That's what it meant to be Shanghai. So anyway, Shanghai Red, the story of somebody that gets shanghaied, gets back home, wants revenge, whatever. The art in that there is very similar to the style, but I don't remember the ears just being flaps, but it suited that very, very well. I think it's less suited, his style is less suited to superheroes, but it is still moody and what have you, and it does suit the story because we don't get a lot of superhero stuff in here. But yeah, it's just the ears that looking like flaps kept pulling me out of the story. So I don't know, maybe he was a little bit rushed for time. In terms of all the other stuff, again, I didn't feel like this was anything new, or it's leaning into the whole idea of Jack Grimm and the Joker. We know how I felt about Absolute Batman 15. We know how I feel about the Joker. BJ Kicks, he's another YouTube comics guy. He put on Twitter a few days ago. I think it was BJ Kicks. Maybe he was asking. Maybe BJ Kicks was asking about favorite comic of 2026 or 2025. Anyway, somebody posted it and they're like, quote this post, this tweet, with a take that you think would, that people would not like about comics. And I quoted it and I said, there never needs to be another Joker story ever. Actually, I said there never needs to be another Joker story, period. Ever, period. Never, period. Ever, period. So this is just more of Absolute Joker mythos, a little origin of Arc M and the puppet strings that the forces of evil are playing in the Absolute universe. Is speculator alert in terms of a little bit of an origin for Jack Grimm, who is the Absolute Joker, which we weren't necessarily expecting that, but also the first appearance of the Absolute Deathstroke, who actually I didn't really care for the character design. He looks like with that he looks like Dracula from like
he does, yeah.
Yeah, from like the Gary Oldman version of Dracula.
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola did that movie. Anyway, so yeah, this is not for me. I ranked it at number 10.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow.
it was a little bit of a chore for me to get through.
Ooh.
I mean, it's well done. It's well done,
Wow.
and it's horrific. But
Hmm.
I'm over the Joker, man. Like
Wow.
I don't know how I can state that more plainly.
Wow.
So
Well, you've been very detailed as to why you're very clear how you will never ever like another Joker story. But no, I thought I thought this was absolutely Arc M. I love this story. I thought it was very well done. For a Joker story, it's really good. I think this is arguably. I'm more interested as an origin for the Joker. This is the best origin of the Joker. This absolute Batman issue 15 gave you we heard the absolute Alfred's understanding and theory as to what the background of the Joker is. And we heard he suspected it's the young Jack Grimm has never aged and has never died and has grown to be the Joker. But how is that possible? He was around in the 1890s and 1920s, and that would mean that the Joker is immortal and that this Jack Grimm never died. And now we know that in fact a very young Jack Grimm approached Arkham Asylum by this Abadea Arkham or whatever, who was running Arkham Asylum as a young boy, and the way this story is told is so clever that this the story of Amadeus Arkham, whose mother was crazy and his mother died. His mother killed his siblings but let him live, and he never understood why. So he was raised to believe to dedicate his life to helping the mentally ill. And so he did so, formed Arkham Asylum. And then lo and behold, there's this crazy inmate of Arkham Asylum, his most difficult inmate, that you think is the Joker. And then as the story progresses, there's a young man, a young boy who he grows very close to, and he almost calls his son, who helps him and who lives with him in Arkham Asylum. And ultimately there's this big breakout, and it's ultimately revealed that it's this young boy that returns many years later to purchase Arkham Asylum. And it ends up being that that the young boy was actually the one who, was a young Jack Grimm, orchestrated the breakout at Arkham, orchestrated and was manipulating events until he became an adult Jack Grimm to buy Arkham Asylum, all with the goal of ultimately leading to Arc M. And so we see that we see what the origins of Jack Grimm. So we know already now what makes this interesting is this young Jack Grimm, who would become the absolute Joker, even as a young boy, seemed to have machinations to manipulate the mentally ill for his own ends. And we know that because at the end, it shows the Joker, who we know to be the absolute universe's glorified Bruce Wayne, in his Batcave, looking at all these files of Kirk Langstrom, Pamela Isley, Hugo Strange, Jonathan Crane, Basil Morrow, Jervis Tech. We know those names. They're Batman's rogues gallery. And we know that one by one, he's going to send them against absolute Batman. So we know what's to come while he's talking to the absolute Deathstroke. So I just think as a setup, this is true to form. This is a formula that has worked like crazy for Scott Snyder so far in the first 15 issues of Absolute Batman. It's working with this annual of Absolute Arc M, and it pulls me in. And obviously, I think that you've acknowledged that it's good storytelling. You just don't like the Joker, and that's fair. You're not going to like Absolute Amanda Waller when she inevitably shows up too. But and I'm waiting for that, and I have a theory on that too. But I don't want to say anything. I'm going to save that a couple weeks from now. But in any event, I enjoyed this, and this was in my top three.
Yeah, I figured it was. I expected it to be. And I already gave Absolute Amanda Waller's origin, right? To Bad Thai food from Darkseid. That's the true origin. I mean, you're right in terms of this being well done. It's a very well crafted comic. Like technically, it's great. Seeing the, I guess you're calling them cameos for Deathstroke and Man-Bat and Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy's been teased already that's coming. Man-Bat, Kirk Langstrom. So yeah, it is well done, and you do feel bad for. I mean, there's still not a true explanation for why this kid is immortal, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this isn't a situation where sometimes you hear the origin of a villain and then you feel bad for them. Absolute Joker's too evil to feel bad ever for him, but you do kind of understand how he could become. I mean, the fact that his mother killed all his siblings right in front of him, and then he goes, and I love the way Hickson draws it, and the way that it's written, where it says, as narrated by Amadeus Arkham, where he says, the boy was standing at his door, and he's standing there in the rain. He's like, he was covered in blood, so much blood, even the rain couldn't wash it off.
Yeah.
So it's like that blood stain that maybe it was the blood of his, maybe some mystical, magical, whatever, the blood of all his siblings and his mother, because after she kills all his other siblings, she turns a gun on herself, and he's drenched in all their blood. Maybe that somehow transformed him. But I love that even the rain won't wash it off. Like, he's permanently damaged. So yeah, it is well done. But again, I could do without the Joker. So, and yeah, I am very curious to see who Deathstroke's going to go after and how he's going to be fleshed out. So, all right, up next we have Adventures of Superman, Book of L, issue number 5 from writer Phillip Kennedy Johnson, art by Scott Godlewski, colors by Alex Guermas, art by Scott Godlewski, letters by Dave Sharp. I'm enjoying this, but to borrow your phrase earlier, it's good. It's not great, so that's why it's kind of a little bit lower for me. But I am enjoying it. Comes in at number 8 for me, and I really enjoy the text pieces from the Book of L in the back as well. And if you've been reading PKJ for a long time, his Action Comics run, his run on Green Lantern War Journal, you should be picking this up, because a lot of the threads that were started and continued in those books are going to pay off here. Again, this is kind of lasting at PKJ's writing now that he at DC for now, because he signed that exclusive deal with Marvel. So, anything to add, Rocky?
Not really. I'm not. This is not really. I will say, and it's just a criticism. We're issue 5, and we're finally seeing Ortho Ra, one of the orphans. This whole thing is Superman trying to rescue his orphan kids, and we finally are seeing him by issue 5 here. This is just sort of dragging on. On the other hand, we do get an interesting overlap between future Superman, the descendants of Superman, and the Green Lantern mythology, so that's kind of interesting as well, which is probably not surprising, because this, a lot of the mythology that PKJ did write, John Stewart Green Lantern, to great effect. Again, it's just, there's just too much competition, and it's just big. This is easily lost in the shuffle. And to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of the orphans. I'm not a fan of a grown-up John Kent. There's actually quite a bit in terms of, there's too many characters in Superman's universe right now, and expanding it in the mainstream universe is I think a disastrous mistake. And the absolute title has it right. It's keeping the cast small and focusing on what's most important. Absolute Superman, Lois and Jimmy. Let's leave it at that for a while. But anyways, that's my bias.
Where do you rank it?
I put this at number 11. This was actually last for me. This was dead last. And no disrespect to PKJ, but this is just not a title that I'm interested in. I'm interested in.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Up next, we have Absolute Superman number 5 from writer Jason Aaron. Juan Ferreira on art and colors. Becca Carey on letters. Let's talk about the art. First off, I'm such a huge fan of Juan Ferreira. I love his art so much. For the first time I saw it on Green Arrow, when Ben Percy was writing it. And then where did I see him? I think he did Killmonger series over at Marvel that I really enjoyed as well. Now, that being said, this art felt a little bit stiff to me. But that might just be, it's still very good, but I don't know, maybe it's just that when I think of Absolute Superman and the world and the stories and the way that it all plays out, I'm just picturing that Rafa Sandoval art in my head. So I just need a little bit of time to get used to this change in style. Because there are certain scenes, certain moments where it really, really shines. Like there's a scene where Superman goes to confront Winslow Shot, the Toyman, absolute version of the Toyman. He melts a hole in the side of the building, and it's a double page splash showing the skyline with the building and the hole in it, and then there's an inset at the bottom of the page. Check it out on YouTube if you're watching us that way. And his eyes are glowing red or whatever, and his hair is all disheveled. That is such an amazing image. I mean, that's such a gorgeous page with the skyline and the way Ferrero laid it out, and then this extreme, so super really nice. Far away establishing shot, and then super extreme close up on his face. Brilliantly done. So I do enjoy the art, but there were times where it pulled me out of the story, but not because the art is bad in any way, but just because stylistically of the change of what's going on. Which in a way, it's a good time if you're going to need somebody to do it. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, Rafa's been killing it, but he probably needs a break, needs to take maybe a week off, and then start working on some issues ahead of time, because eventually they'll get caught up. Because when you're doing art as great as Rafa is, it takes more than 20 days to draw one issue, so you can understand. And this is why there's fill-in artists. But because this is a different direction with Absolute Superman having a different costume, it's really, really interesting and a good time for them to have an artistic change, because the books, it still has the same feel of Absolute Superman trying to find his way in this world. But considering that sort of the first big story is over, for the most part, ties up one little loose end with Ra's al Ghul here. But for the most part, so it's a good jumping on point to give us perhaps the status quo going forward. Superman is no longer in that black suit. He's got a suit that looks more traditional. Still has the flames on his forearms and on his boots. We see Brainiac as well. Absolute Brainiac, which I love the way Juan Ferrer draws him. It's really, really great.
Yeah, really good.
And when the kids on the bikes see him, they don't say anything. They have no word balloons or whatever, but just their expressions on their face, and you guys tell how they're, so shocked by it. They're like, bikes are wobbling, trying not to fall over. And we don't see Lex Luthor, but we know that that's where Brainiac is headed, to the Luthor farmstead, because it says on the mailbox. So what that means with Brainiac and Luthor teaming up, probably nothing good for Superman. So, I just love this, and that loose end with Ra's al Ghul that I mentioned. He has been disgraced. The Lazarus Corporation is being dismantled. He doesn't have access to his to the Lazarus pits, so he's aging. And I love it. Every couple pages they come back to it. Juan on the art and Jason Aaron writing it, and it's Superman, Absolute Superman, doing what we most know mainstream universe Superman for standing for, right? Standing for hope. And despite everything that's happened, despite the anger that Absolute Superman felt at times, despite Ra's al Ghul being responsible for, we'll say, death, quote unquote, of Soul, the artificial Kryptonian artificial intelligence companion of Absolute Superman. So he has a lot of reasons to be angry with Ra's al Ghul, but he's trying to understand him. He's trying to be empathetic. He's trying to, in a way, make it better. See if he can perhaps rehabilitate him. But every few pages when he goes back and he's reading from Kryptonian literature or whatever, he says, in the name of the sun's divine light, may you know the peace you were denied. May you know the strength of mercy, blah, blah. But every time he goes back, Ra's is a little bit older, because again, he doesn't have access to those Lazarus pits, and we know he's very, very old. So, to the point where he starts to look skeletal at the end. So that was a really interesting narrative choice as well. So I really, really enjoyed that. And speculator alert, I guess it's the first appearance of Absolute Hawkman. He shows up on the last page, or next to the last page, before we see Brainiac heading over to Luthor's. But what struck me when we saw this, I love the helmet. He almost looks like a cross between three different characters. He looks like Hawkman. I mean, he's got the giant mace, he's got the wings, and he's got the helm, which looks Hawk-like. But his outfit, the way he's dressed with like the black tunic that has like the double row buttons or whatever, and maybe it's also because the symbol on his chest is black and red. It reminded me of a Black Hawk, like the uniform of the Blackhawks. You know, the World War II.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
But then he's also wrapped in bandages like Negative Man or Negative Woman.
Yeah.
So is this Carter Hall? Is it Blackhawk? Is it Larry Trainor, the Negative Man? Really interesting. Because we just talked before in Green Lantern about how Al Ewing is just giving us all these characters, even mashing up characters. I can't introduce enough characters fast enough. I'm going to mash two together and introduce both of them. So when Jason Aaron introduces somebody, I imagine he's going to take his time. So I would expect to get quite a bit of Hawkman in the next issue, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this is definitely in my top three. Continue to love Absolute Superman. Gorgeous cover from Rafa Sandoval on the main cover, showing us that new costume. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like here. I mean, Absolute Superman continues to be my favorite Absolute title. Green Lantern has probably crept up into second place, which is shocking to me because of how inscrutable it was. You know, issues like 2 through 6 or whatever. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. There is a Gerald Perel variant cover where Superman's throwing his head back and firing his heat vision off into the sky that I really, really enjoyed as well. But the Juan Ferreira cover, Rafa Sandoval does the main cover, the one that's behind me on YouTube right now. But the Juan Ferreira cover is interesting as well. I mean, I didn't give it a second thought when I looked at it. Yeah, it's right there if you're watching this on YouTube. But it shows the Cape Soul, who's no longer sentient, but it looks like wings. Looks like almost like flame wings, like Flamebird from Firestorm. Yeah. But I didn't have any idea that was foreshadowing the fact that Hawkman was going to show up, right at the end. So pretty clever of Juan Ferreira. So anyway, what are your thoughts on Absolute Superman? This wasn't in your top 5, right? I was kind of surprised.
No, it came in at number 6. It wasn't quite there. And it's because of a number of things, a number of concerns I have. First of all, let me talk about what I love. I love that there's 2 scenes. I love that Lois asks Superman out for a beer. But Superman is so bloody distracted because he's so overworked. He feels he's got to save the world. And I love how Jason Aaron characterizes Superman in that regard. Absolute Superman is overworking himself. He's doing so much. He feels he's got to save the world. He's just doing so he's everywhere. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's why Absolute Hawkman at the end is asking him, saying, "What the hell are you doing, man?" Probably telling him to slow down. You can't say, even though Absolute Hawkman, we know that Absolute Hawkman killed Oliver Queen in the pages of Absolute Evil. The reality is that he's still probably arguably sort of in theory, a good guy. And so, I'm sure he'll tell Absolute Superman, relax. You can't save everyone. But this Absolute Superman is overworked. He can't find time for himself. And even Lois Lane says to him, "Do you want to go for a beer sometime?" But he's distracted. He's got to fly off to Peoria or some damn thing. Even Lana Lang asks him to stop by the diner in Smallville to have a cup of coffee or something, and he's not doing that. I like the fact that it's sort of hinting at that love triangle. I know it's a very, very small hint. It's very, very subtle. But are Lois and Lana they're both maybe arguably attracted to Absolute Superman? I kind of like planting the seeds there. I love Absolute Hawkman showing up. One thing, I also love that cover you pointed out. Fantastic with the wings on the back. One thing that I thought was a little off for me that I got mixed feelings about is him reading, first of all, Ra's al Ghul, it was established in Absolute Evil. I thought that all these guys in Absolute Evil, the Absolute Justice League, were powerful. I find it very, very hard to believe that Absolute Ra's al Ghul here hasn't escaped. As if he's even gonna do any jail time. This Earth is pretty much controlled by megalomaniacal maniacal, I can't even say the word, elites. And I can't believe he hasn't broken out of prison, or that the other members of the Absolute Justice League haven't broken him out. They're supposed to, they agreed they'd kind of work together. This doesn't make any sense to me. It seems off. He was so powerful. Even Talia doesn't know where he is. Why hasn't she broken him out? So that's what's going on here? Because he's in there for weeks while he's shriveling up. They're letting him shrivel. Is Talia doing that on purpose? And yet I don't think it is. So I'm just kind of curious. The other thing, Superman reading Ra's al Ghul poetry? I get it. The kids wrote it and everything else, but I'm not sure I quite buy into Superman after all the things he's been through, that his priority is to really focus on if he wants to save all the people that he could be saving, he's going to waste 2 hours reading poetry to the villain who's killed millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people. He's worried about poetry. I know what Jason Aaron's trying to convey, but to be blunt, this isn't the mainstream Superman. And I never believed this was the mainstream Superman. I'm more than prepared to cut Absolute Superman a hell of a lot of slack, even if he kills somebody. There were times in the earlier issues of Absolute Superman where, subject to interpretation, you could have interpreted certain scenes as lethal force being used, however unintentional it might have been. In any event, so I got mixed feelings about that. I understand what Jason Aaron's going with that, so I'll buy it. But subject to those minor criticisms, that's what probably contributed to me it falling out of my top 5. But still very good. Still one of the best. I love it. I'm not sure. I want Lois, and I love Lana. I mean, who doesn't love a hot redhead? So I don't know if maybe Lana steps up to the plate. I want the love triangle to get hot. I want Clark. I want Superman to start dating Lana Lang just to piss off Lois a little bit there, and I want there to have that sort of absolute tension in this comic book. But anyways, I digress. I enjoyed it, but out of my top 5.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's not going to be in both of our top every time, even though it probably should be.
Yeah.
Anyway, up next, Batgirl number 15 from writer Tate Brombal. Steven Segovia on art, Rain Barreto on color, Steve Wands on letters. I don't have anything new to add to this. Again, I just prefer Cassandra Cain to be in Gotham. Those are the stories I want to read about. And this story has just gone on way too long, way too focused on things that I don't have any interest in. Mystical, magical stuff, Nisa, Ra's al Ghul's other daughter, or whatever. It's just, it doesn't interest me. I'm ready for this to be over and done with. And we do know in some future solicitations that after this arc is over, I think it ends with issue 18 probably. So starting with issue 19, she will be back in Gotham. So looking forward to that, and seeing Tate Brombal give us some kind of street level crime, as it were. Although we know she has new powers as well. She can form her blood into, I think it's just her blood, or maybe it's any blood, but she can form it into like hard weapons, like edged weapons. So I'm that has me excited. I'm ready, and maybe it's because that sounds so interesting, and knowing she's going to be back in Gotham, which is where I wanted her to begin with. Other than the first issue, she hasn't been in Gotham, so I'm so looking forward to that. It's hard for me to. It's like, God, I just want this storyline to be over so we can get her back to Gotham. So this came in at number 11 for me. Yeah. Anything to add?
Yeah, it came in at number 8 for me. Although I've been enjoying this because I think that it's the blue poppies of this lost city of San Sara that Nisa Al Ghul wants to basically find, and they wanted to destroy all the blue poppies that the Unburied were using to attack her. But it ends up that, long story short, Nisa Al Ghul was in league with the Unburied all along. It was one massive big setup. Her ultimate goal was to get the blue poppies for herself. One can speculate that perhaps at some point, somehow between now and issue 19, when somehow between now and then, Cassandra Cain is going to develop the ability to control her own blood. Reminds me a lot of the Boys spinoff, where the one character can control her blood on the Amazon show there, the spinoff from The Boys. I forget what it's called. In any event, so that's probably where the Tate Brombal got the idea from. But it makes sense. Maybe she's going to get it from the Blue Poppies. Maybe because of the interaction with the Blue Poppies, somehow it's going to have an impact on Cassandra Cain. But clearly, this ends here. Possibly her. Could the Jade Tagger be killed? Is he going to survive? It doesn't look too good at the end of this issue. Cassandra Cain just finds out she's got a brother. I hope he lasts long enough. I kind of like the character, but anyways, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here, and it's establishing more characters. And I really like what it's done with Nisa Al Ghul, because we know a lot about Talia Al Ghul. It's nice to see Nisa Al Ghul back in the frame, having some agency and having her own machinations, and her relationship with Angel Breaker, I think, was quite good as well. I like how they sort of hinted at that and developed aspects of that. But in any event, good for a Batgirl. If you're a Cassandra Cain fan, I still say this is must reads if you're a huge Cassandra Cain fan. And and I'm looking forward to what the future holds for Cassandra Cain, just like I'm looking forward to what the future holds for Poison Ivy. So, again, DC Next Level. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, I was going to mention when you said you weren't that excited about DC Next Level. I sort of feel like the level of excitement anybody might have for Next Levels right now is a bit tempered because we don't know the creative teams, right? So, or not many. Yeah. So if you're a fan of Lobo and then you hear Scotty Young, but you can't stand Scotty Young, then maybe you're not as excited as you would be. Mm-hmm. Greg Rucka, who created the character of Kate Kane, along with Danny. Which, I've been critical of Danny's art in the past. And when I got a chance to see how much, like when it's not, I think her art is better suited not to be colored because you get more of a sense of how she uses negative space. Mm-hmm. But anyway, like that could be a fascinating title as well. And then is there another one, or is that just the only two that have had a creative team announced?
Well, Lobo has.
Lobo has. That's what I'm saying. Lobo and Batwoman, right? Those are the only
Lobo,
two.
Batwoman, and what are the other titles?
There's Firestorm.
There's Zatanna. Zatanna's Jamal Campbell on Zatanna.
Oh, that's right. Jamal Campbell. Yeah, that's the third one. Yeah. Yeah. So again, like if you're, a fan of that creator on that character, then, maybe you're excited or whatever. So I'm just saying that, Deathstroke was announced as well.
Right.
Tony Fleeks. And
that's right.
I can't remember who the artist is. Carmine Dijon Domenico, I think, is the artist on
it. Let me tell you why but I just want to quick point. The reason why I'm tempered about my expectations for DC Next Level, and I'm really not expecting much, is frankly, it's because it's in the mainstream DC universe. And unless they give the writers carte blanche to really, really take some chances.
So now, it might just be lip service. It might just be lip service, but that's apparently what, according to Scott Snyder.
Well, I hope that's the case.
Now, I haven't talked to Scott like one-on-one about it. I'm going by what he said at the panel at New York Comic Con. But I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to revitalize the main line by giving the writers the same prompt that they gave the writers for the Absolute Universe title.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Like, well, that's good to hear. That makes me feel good.
Come in and tell, whatever story you want to tell. It doesn't matter. Obviously you can't have, Firestorm out there killing people or something like that. You know what I mean? It's got to be true to the core of the character, but they told them the same thing with the Absolute characters. So now whether or not it'll work, because inherently the main universe characters are still going to have some of the continuity, tied to them. So yeah, so we don't know Firestorm. We don't know the Shadow of the Bat. We don't know Demon. We don't know Barbara Gordon Breakout. And then there's more stuff to come. But, I'm hearing from a lot of people, a lot of characters, creators are posting online, hey, I got the super secret thing. Hey, I got this DC thing coming up, whatever. So, yeah, I'm sure some of them are working on this Next Level stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, getting back to the last title we're going to talk about in detail, Batman #5 from writer Matt Fraction. Jorge Jiminez on art, Tomeu Mora on colors, Clayton Cowell with Jorge Jiminez on letters. Let's just start with the obvious right at the end. We have Damian inadvertently revealing Batman's secret identity, which was pretty funny. Like, so he shows up. Batman shows up, or Bruce Wayne, I should say, shows up outside the Wayne Experimental Sciences building to pick up this doctor that we had seen in previous issues or what have you. He's driving a Pontiac GTO, by the way, which is awesome. But right away she's got people coming after her, trying to kill her. So Bruce, he's not in a situation where he can change into Batman. So it's fantastic, like so much action, and a lot of the first issue, middle part of it anyway, is Bruce driving the car and trying to fight off these guys on motorcycles that are waving swords around or whatever, trying to kill this doctor. And then we get this new character show up for the first time, and it's interesting because this character was originally going to be called something else.
Lady Death.
Lady Death, that's right. Lady Death something, I think. Lady Death. There was like a third part to this, but it was too close to Brian Polito's Lady Death, so that they ended up changing it at the end. But this Dr. Annika Zeller, she's being pursued, and we think this OJO character, OJO character, whatever, however you say it, is part of them. Then we find out, like, then they mix it up. She mixes it up with the bikers as well. So it's almost like there's three different factions. But Bruce has to like keep Zeller alive and kind of fight these two different factions off. Fight off this OJO, fight off the biker gang with the katanas, all while keeping his identity a secret. And when he fights OJO a second time on the roof of a building, that's when Damian shows up, and he mentions that he studied OJO during his time with the League of Assassins, and so he knew how to neutralize her. So he kind of scares her off, and she runs away. And he mentions that to Bruce, and he says, it's the most effective way to neutralize her. This basically he shocks her with this little bat snare, EMP pulse or whatever. And he says, this was the most effective way to deal with her, assuming that we have to keep to the no killing policy, father. And Zeller overhears it. She's kind of around the corner, like hiding. And so he like pops up from underneath this like water tower that she's hiding under. And she's like, father. And Bruce is just glaring at Damian, and Damian's like, it's great art. It's wonderful art from Jorge Jiminez. Like, Jorge's art is so dynamic, right? And fast paced and kinetic, and it really sells the idea of action. But he doesn't get enough credit for his facial expressions or whatever. And just look at the three faces here on this final page with this, the way that it's set up with this accidental reveal, from sort of the chaotic, disheveled way that Annika Zeller looks, right? Like, her hair is mussed. Look at her notice her glasses are askew.
Yeah.
She's been through it. She's been through the ringer, right? That's fantastic. Bruce clearly upset. Even have little squiggly lines above his head as he's glaring at Damian. And Damian's got a oh shit look on his face, right? Like, look at how big his eyes are, how he's leaning back from Bruce. Yeah. Look at his mouth. See how the chin is jutting and the lips are kind of upturned, like, oh, I really did it. Just like fantastic, like wonderful. I don't know how much, if any of that is in the script from Matt Fraction, if there's any instruction on Jorge give Bruce a stern expression or an angry expression, or make Zeller look disheveled, or make Robin have an oh shit face. I kind of suspect Matt Fraction knows he doesn't have to give that type of instruction to Jorge, because Jorge is such a seasoned vet at this point. But again, I just think that Jorge doesn't get enough credit for doing those kind of things that really sell the moment, a moment like this. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people read this moment and they're taking that in, but on a unconscious level, and don't realize why that page works so well. And hopefully, if anybody is out there listening or watching this and can go back and look at their book and realize, and in the future maybe be a little more aware of how the art works in service to the story. So I continue to love this. This came in at number 5 for me. Really, really great. I went back and forth. I almost put it at number 4. I was bouncing back and forth between. This is 4. This is 4 for me. Yeah, that's right. JSA was number 5. But yeah, my books that are in my top 3 I really, really love, but this was right there. So anyway, what are your thoughts on it?
This was fantastic. This easily made my top 3. This was the art was fantastic. The character work is absolutely sublime. Perfect combination of the character. I mean, the flirtation between Bruce Wayne and Dr. Zeller is just spot on, absolutely perfect. I mean, Bruce Wayne teases her, she's telling him this isn't a date, and then that's sort of an ongoing theme. And Bruce Wayne, is this a date? It's not a date. And of course it is a date. You can both tell they both think it's a date, although they have this little verbal back and forth constantly about whether it's a date or not. While they're being attacked and people are trying
don't
to
want
kill
to
them.
admit. Yeah. Neither one wants to admit that they think it's a date to the other one, but they both think it's a date.
Yeah. Meanwhile, thanks to the fantastic art by Jiminez, they both look sexy as hell. I mean, the Dr. Zeller, she's got the heels and the skirt. I mean, she looks sexy. She's got that sexy librarian look going on, right? And Bruce Wayne, of course, looks like Bruce Wayne. He's got that James Bond sort of suave sort of look to him. And he's so alpha male, perfect. I mean, one of the best scenes, I mean, this very intimidating OJO, who, she is shocked to discover that Bruce Wayne, she thinks this is going to be an easy kill. She thinks that she's after Dr. Zeller, presumably. She thinks this is going to be an easy kill. Boy, is she wrong. Because, I mean, all of a sudden, this Bruce Wayne knows how to handle himself. And I love the verbal back and forth. And at one point, OJO says to Bruce Wayne, he says to her, cute trick, but I'm not some tripsy sword boy on a dirt bike pretending to be a killer. She says, no, you are not. What you are, I wonder, when you're, no, you are not. What are you, I wonder, when you're not pretending to be this? And he says, come here and I'll show you. I mean, it's just awesome. And, it's just, I guess, and the dialogue sets the tone with fantastic art. And I actually wanted to see them battle. I wish Damian hadn't shown up. I actually wanted to see Bruce Wayne take on OJO. Not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. Because what is fantastic, what Matt Fraction has done from the beginning of this series, and by the way, this is the best issue so far, hands down. I thought last issue was great. This is the best issue so far. This is where it's really come to fruition for Fraction, because this is great. But throughout it all, Bruce Wayne himself has got ultra insulate on his clothing, and there's reasons why he was able to hold his own against OJO, and it's all wonderfully explained. Again, I mean, at one point he's got Dr. Zeller on his back, and he's climbing a ladder on the side of a building, and she looks sexy as hell with her long legs, and she makes a comment about how strong he is. I mean, again, the flirtation, it's just masterful, absolutely masterful. Best issue so far. You said so much when you described in detail the last page. I don't need to go over it, but I encourage people to check it out. Fantastic. And yeah, just a really great comic, and easily in my top 3 this week, perhaps even in competition for number 1.
Yeah, the original name I don't know. I keep wanting to say OJO because, that's the Spanish term for eyes. Ojos, yeah. OJOS. Yeah. But this is actually, an Asian character, and we're told OJO, but that means young woman in Japanese apparently.
Okay.
But yeah, changed from Lady Death, as we mentioned before, because of the Brian Pulido character. But she was supposed to be called Lady Death Man, which
It's odd.
Lady Death Man, like three different words. Is it a woman? Is it a man? Like, why was it Lady Death Man?
Looks like a woman, but
I mean, OJO means young woman. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like the original name, like why Lady Death Man? I don't know. I think OJO, I don't think is the greatest villain name either, but it's better than Lady Deathman. Lady Deathman, it sounds like when a 6 or 7 year old discovers comics and falls in love with the medium, and then starts writing their own stories, on binder paper and drawing them with crayon. What's the one kid that made the chainsaw cop or axe cop or whatever, like actually got popular? That's what I'm going to make this character. I'm going to make this villain. And I'm going to call it Lady Deathman.
Oh, yeah, the chainsaw man.
That's what it sounds like. So
yeah.
Anyway, so those are the books we're going to talk about in detail. Rocky mentioned it earlier. There's a couple of other titles. So we have issue 11 of Teen Titans Go, obviously aimed at a younger audience. And then there is a facsimile edition of Superman versus. It's interesting, these verses. We talked about them fighting before. But anyway, Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man facsimile edition. This is a Treasury size, and there's also a version that has the foil cover. So this is reprinting the original. I think it was the first crossover between a Marvel and a DC character.
It was. It's 88 pages long too, I think. 88. It's a lot of pages.
It's definitely long. It's oversized. It is the 50th anniversary. It came out in 1976. If you're not familiar, you don't realize that is the bicentennial year for the United States. The United States became a country in 1776, the ratifying of the Constitution. So there's even some allusions to it being the bicentennial, by the characters in the book. Yes, they fight when they first meet. And really, when you talk about this book, you're talking about a who's who of talent. Some of them no longer with us, but written by Jerry Conway. He's still here. Bob Wyacek inks it. He's still around as well. But John Romita Sr., who's no longer with us. Neil Adams, who's no longer with us. Ross Andrew, who's no longer with us. It's fun to read. It's definitely a snapshot back into time. Not just the fashion of what these characters are reading, but just the whole setup of the way comics used to be, a little more verbose. The art isn't, as detailed. The art is still fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love this. This is classic comic book art, especially that John Romita Spider-Man look. But yeah, it's of its time. It's a 1970s comic. But there's a lot of people that probably have never read this, and this is a way to get it a little more affordable. Not that I don't think it's like the original is not super expensive. I think you can probably get a copy for under $100. But still, you can pick this up for whatever, 10 bucks.
I would add that it's very, very dated. It references Walter Cronkite and a lot of celebrities and from the mid 1970s. Also, it's rigidly structured like a lot of comics were back then. It's like I say, it's about 80, 85, 88 pages long, and I can break it up for you. First 22 pages, it's Superman versus Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor ends up in jail. Next 22 pages, exactly. Spider-Man fights Doc Ock. Doc Ock ends up in jail. Next 22 pages, Doc Ock and Lex Luthor are in jail, and they meet up and they conspire. And then the last 22 pages, Doc Ock and of course and Lex versus Superman and Spider-Man. I mean, it's very, very, and it's just hilarious. And of course, you got the commentary from Stan Lee and Jerry Conway, Carmen Infantino at the time, Carmen Infantino was the editor-in-chief of GC at the time, and then Stan Lee's comments, Excelsior and what have you. I believe, of course, Stan Lee said Excelsior, and I think Carmen Infantino, I think he said epic or let the epic begin or something. But anyways, it was, it's worth checking out even if you're not, just if for no other reason to sort of get a hand to see what comic books were like back then. And just as a general commentary, it reminded me, as much as I love nostalgia and I look back on my youth reading comics, how much I loved comics back then. comic books, guys, trust me, they're much better written nowadays than they were back then. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
they just are. They're just better written now. I mean, every now and then, yes, I love Stan Lee too, but come on, guys. Storytelling has vastly improved. And even a lot of the writers who get criticized, they're still a hell of a lot better than the big names back in the day. But that's a discussion or debate for another day.
Yeah, I mean, they're aimed at these comics back then were aimed at 7 to 10-year-olds. So it was white hat versus black hat. You didn't have sophisticated storytelling. But it's interesting because this is not a unique trend to comics. It's all the entertainment industry. You can go back and look at films and TV from back then, and the stories were a little more simplistic as well. So yeah, pretty interesting. And yeah, you mentioned it dividing it up into 4 chapters. In each chapter break too, like the first chapter break for anybody who only read Marvel and I don't know, I guess grew up with their head in the sand. Here's a quick 1-page origin of Superman, and then vice versa between the second and third chapter. Here's a 1-page origin of Spider-Man, and then between chapters 3 and 4, Lex Luthor and Doc Ock each get half a page. So yeah, definitely a marketing ploy, back then. Hey, any Marvel zombies want to cover and read some DC books? Anybody from DC want to cover and read Marvel books? I mean, when I first started collecting comics, when I was 5, I didn't know that there was 2 comic book publishers. I didn't care, what. I mean, and there's more. There's Charlton and First Comics and all kinds of stuff on the spinner rack at my little grocery store that I used to buy my books at. It was like 100 yards from my grandparents' front door. I would walk over there and I would look at the covers. I'd look at the covers and that's how I based it. If it had a cool cover, I bought it. So that's why one of the first books I bought was Rom Space Knight because I thought he looked cool, or Ghost Rider because I thought he looked cool. Actually, the very first comic I ever bought was a Super Friends comic because I recognized them from the Super Friends cartoon. Yeah. So I back then I wasn't, hey, I'm just reading Marvel, I'm just reading DC, but there were people that were. And so I imagine this was, not only just a cool chance to get the 2 probably flagship characters at the time. You can make the argument now that DC's flagship character is Batman. I'd push back on that. I think it's still Superman, but no argument that it's Spider-Man over at Marvel.
Yeah.
So to have them team up, this was a watershed moment in a lot of ways. So anyway, that does it. As I said, for the individual books that are out this week. As far as collected editions, there's a new version of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Again, hope everybody got a chance to listen to my interview with Tom King over the Christmas break. He mentioned, hey, you want to show DC how interested you are in Supergirl and Supergirl comics, go buy this. And it's been, I think, the regular collected edition for the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow series had gone out of print, and then they brought it back, and then it went out of print again. So you can get the compact edition if you've never read it for very inexpensive. It's only $10. Has a new cover. And then there's a new compendium for Justice League Dark from the new 52. It collects all of Justice League Dark. So, I mean, this thing is huge. It's 1,624 pages. So, and for those not aware, compendium basically means an omnibus, but it's not hardcover. An omnibus is hardcover. A compendium is the same amount of material you'd get in an omnibus, but it's just soft cover. So it's a little less expensive. So, I mean, this is a hell of a deal if you're interested in these characters. I mean, Justice League Dark had John Constantine kind of led the team, but you had Zatanna, you had the new 52 version of Shade, you had Deadman, you had Swamp Thing. J.M. DeMatteis wrote some of it. Jeff Lemire wrote some of it. Ray Fox, Peter Milligan. This is some of Mikkel Yanin's earliest work at DC. Fantastic artist. But this collects the entire thing, 0 through 40, Justice League Dark Annual 1 and 2, the Future's End issue, some crossovers with Constantine, specifically issue 5 of Constantine and issues 9 through 12. Crossed over with I, Vampire. I think a lot of people don't even realize. I mean, I, Vampire, like horror series from the 70s. But yeah, he had a title that launched with the New 52. So issues 7 and 8 of that. A crossover with the regular Justice League in issues 22 and 23. A crossover with Justice League of America 6 and 7. And then the material from the free Comic Book Day special edition, Trinity of Sin, Pandora 1 through 3, and 6 through 9, and the Trinity of Sin Phantom Stranger 11, 14 through 17. So again, 624 pages for only $60. There is no way you're ever going to get that many books for that price. I mean, that is way less than $1 a book. Way less than $1 a book. So if you're at all interested, you might want to pick that up. I mean, I love that series. I'm a huge fan of J.M. DeMatteis and Mikhail Union and all those guys. Yeah. There's also Volume 2 of Catwoman, the Torrin Grunbeck era. So it's collecting issues 75 through 78 of that series. There is an Absolute edition, say Absolute Batman, the Long Halloween hardcover. So don't think this is Absolute Batman. This is not Absolute Batman in terms of title. Here, the word Absolute is describing the format. Before we had the Absolute Universe, DC put out Absolute versions of some of their evergreen titles, and that it was called Absolute because that denoted that it was printed basically in the same size that it was drawn. So when a comic artist draws something, in this case Tim Sale, illustrating the Tim Sale illustrating the Jeff Loeb story, he's working on comic boards that are 11.5 by 17. So these Absolute editions, they're hardcovers, and they would reprint the art at 11.5 by 17. So these are much larger, and that's why it's called Absolute. So all 13 issues of the original Long Halloween out in that Absolute edition. And then there is a Batman and Superman World's Finest Silver Age Omnibus Volume 2, collecting issues 117 through 158 of DC's World's Finest Batman Superman Team Up series, if you're not familiar with what World's Finest is. So that's all the collected editions. Been a little bit since we did our rankings, Rocky. So I don't remember who went first. So we'll just kick it off with you. We'll let you give your rankings first in the new year.
Okay. I got coming in at number. I put Teen Titans Go and Superman v Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't really include them in my list. So coming in at number 11 was Adventures of Superman Book of L number 5. Coming in at number 10 was JSA 15. Number 9, the Green Arrow, Batman, The Question, Arcadia, number 2. Coming in at number 8 was Batgirl 15. And number 7, DCKO, Knightfight, number 3. Coming in at number 6, Absolute Superman, number 15. My top 5 are, coming in at number 5, Cheetah and Cheshire, Rob the Justice League, number 6. It's great to see Cheetah get rid of the curse of Ashkataga god. It's going to be curious to see what her future holds. Coming in at number 4, Poison Ivy, issue 40. There's going to be a change in the status quo of Poison Ivy in Gotham City moving forward, guys. Coming in at number 3, Absolute Green Lantern, number 10. And my top 2, coming in at number 2, was Absolute Batman Arc M. And coming in at number 1, because it just blew me away. I was so impressed. Matt for Action, you did a hell of a job. Jiminez on the art. Batman issue 5 was just so impressive. So that made my number 1 quite easily.
I don't think I had any of those correct for your top 5. I thought you were going to have Arc M as your number 1. So that was interesting. Yeah. All right. Same. I didn't rank Teen Titans Go. I didn't even read it. I did reread Superman versus Spider-Man. Hadn't read it in a long time, but yeah, I didn't include that in my rankings either because it's a facsimile reprint. So that leaves us with 11 books. At 11, I have Batgirl number 15. At 10, I have the Batman Arc M special. At number 9, I have DC KO Knightfight number 3. At number 8, Adventures of Superman Book of L. At number 7, Arcadia number 2. Coming in at number 6 for me, Poison Ivy, number 40. Coming in at number 5, JSA number 15. Coming in at number 4, I have Batman at number 5. Coming in at number 3, I have Absolute Green Lantern number 10. And then number 2, I have Absolute Superman number 15. And number 1 for me, Cheetah and Cheshire, Rob the Justice League number 5.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely loved it. There are times when we have a lot of crossover in our rankings, especially when we did that. The last episode we did when there's 17 books, I think we had over half of them ranked the same, which is really interesting. We do not have a single book ranked the same this week. I mean, we both have, wait, I take that back. We both have Absolute Green Lantern at 3.
That's right, yeah.
Other than that, everything else is different. So as I predicted, as one probably could have guessed ahead of time, our biggest disparity is the Arc M special. You have it at 2, I have it at 10. JSA I have in my top 5, you have it at 10. That's 5 rank difference, but 8 rank difference in Absolute Batman Arc M. That is staggering. Yeah. I love looking at that because it's comic books are art, and art is subjective. And the fact that I love Scott and I love Frank, they're awesome guys, and I feel a little guilty ranking it so low. Whenever there's an issue of Absolute Batman that just doesn't tickle my fancy, but I recognize how like technically good of a comic it is. But these, to be clear, everybody, when we rank these, we're ranking them on how much we enjoyed them. It's a very biased opinion. This is my rank. If we were to rank these in terms of like technical, like how technically good they are as comic books, I would be looking at different criteria. Like for example, Arcadia would be much higher than number 7 for me, because Rocky even mentioned how great the art is on it from Gabriel Hardman. And a lot of times when you're assuming the creator has talent and experience creating comics, and Gabriel Hardman has both of those in spades, when he's writing and drawing, I feel like when a creator both writes and draws a book, they have a little bit of advantage when it comes to the technical aspects of it, because they kind of have the idea of what exactly they intended when they're writing the script, if they even work from a full script to then do the penciling duties. So yeah, it's a little there. You don't lose anything in translation as opposed to when it's 2 different people. So just a little bit of a reminder that, it's nothing personal when we don't rank something higher. And it doesn't mean it's not a technically proficient comic that has, good pacing and good art. I mean, sometimes those things might be wonky, and usually we'll call it out if that's the case. But there's nothing wrong with anything technically with that Arkham special. I'm purely ranking it at 10 because of my dislike of the Joker. So anyway, I've been super busy lately and going to bed like so late. So I apologize if I look a little bleary-eyed. I literally got an hour of sleep last night and only like 3 hours the night before. So you guys probably noticed my wife brought me some coffee while we were recording. And
well, that's good.
Can you tell which era of DC this is, Rocky?
That looks like oh my lord, that's isn't that the Grant Morrison JLA? Grant Morrison
90s. Superman.
Yeah.
Mullet.
Oh yeah.
Mullet Superman. You got the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern costume. He was the only Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was doing Wonder Woman at the time, but you got Aquaman, the Peter David Aquaman, where he has the
Phil Jiminez was doing the.
Phil Jiminez. Yeah, you got Aquaman when he had the harpoon hand.
Yeah.
Flashlight. It looks almost the same, but there's subtle differences. Mostly the way I can tell is his little lightning bolts on the side of his head stuck out a little bit more. They're a little more pronounced.
Yeah.
And then Batman, he's still in the old classic blue-gray, which they've brought back in the current version. So anyway, I don't know if she purposely brought my coffee in a comic book mug because we were doing the DC spotlight, but I at work I have a larger mug for my coffee that's a big Superman one, but I love this one too. So I thought I'd share that because it brings a smile to my face when I see this 90s era. And this one's a little different. Can you see how it's kind of curved a little bit? So I had one of these exactly like this, except it was straight. It didn't have an indentation, and it broke. I dropped it, or the handle broke off, or something, and I was devastated. And then, like a couple years later, my wife found this one. I think she surprised me with it at Christmas.
Yeah. No, I still have my my San Diego Comic-Con cup.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
All All right, well, that's going to do it, everybody. We appreciate you joining us as always. Nice to be back in the swing of things with the new year. Don't forget, if you're checking us out on YouTube on Rocky's channel, it's Comic Space Boom ! Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the books. Let us know what you think about the idea of Alfred, young Alfred from Knightfight, being brought into the main DC continuity. Or whatever else you want to comment. We love to get conversations going in the comments. And again, ring that notification bell. Really helps out so you know when new content drops. Also, if you want to check out any of the other Comic Source interviews or coverage or what have you, as long as you're on YouTube, you can head over to the Comic Source YouTube and like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell there as well, so you don't miss out on any of the other conversations. I mean, multiple times we referenced the fantastic chat we had along with our friend Steve for 12 Days of the Comic Source, or the Comic Top giant 2-part episode talking about 2025 year that was, what we're expecting and looking forward to in 2026. Super fun conversation. So again, available on the Comic Source YouTube channel, and then all the content, whether it be DC Spotlight or anything else, is available audio only if that's how you prefer. Maybe you're running or lifting weights at the gym or driving and you prefer to listen audio only. Whatever podcast platform you're on, you can head over there and do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe. And you have literally thousands of episodes to go back and discover if that's what you choose. So again, appreciate everybody joining as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.